Hello children, let me welcome you to the virtual class of the Brihan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika. My name is Shraddha teacher. Children, we are in the middle of this COVID-19 pandemic and because of that we are not able to go to school, but that doesn't mean we are going to stop learning. So we are going to do many lessons which are very interesting from your textbook through the virtual class here. So let us do a lesson in English today. Come on children, let us start with a new lesson in standard 4th English. And the name of the lesson is lesson number 34 from your English textbook, that is The King of the Golden River. Now today we will be doing part 1 of the story. So this is a story. Alright, and we are just going to listen to the story and we're going to enjoy the story. At the same time, we will try and understand the meaning of some new words. So now what is the meaning of a king? A king is a ruler. And what is a river? A river is flowing water. And what is golden river now? That we will see in this lesson. Alright, and we will also see how kindness, if you're kind, if you're merciful, if you help others, then you also are benefited in some way or the other and you are also blessed. So in the first part of the story we will talk about 3 brothers and we will talk about how they were so different from each other. So this story is actually written by a person called as John Ruskin, and this story is in the form of a book. Alright, John Ruskin is this person. He's written this particular book called The King of the Golden River. Now we are going to see a part of the story from this book. Alright, now this is a very thick book. There are a lot of pages and it is a very long story. But here we will learn the shortened version. That is, we will only see the main part of the story, the main points in the story. Alright, so come on, let's start with the story and let us see how and what John Ruskin wants to tell us through the story of the King of the Golden River. Now this is a story which is set in a mountainous area. So long ago, in the mountainous part of a country, there was a fertile valley. So you can see a lot of mountains there in the background, and there is a valley. Valley is the place between 2 mountains, and this valley was a very fertile valley. Now fertile means what? Fertile means where crops can grow easily and where crops can grow well. Alright, if you plant a tree here or if you try to grow some crops over here, this place is very good for that. Your crops, your trees will flourish. Alright, they will give you a lot of fruits and vegetables and crops. So long ago, in a mountainous part of a country, there was a very fertile valley. Now why was the valley fertile? The valley was fertile because there were many waterfalls leaping down the mountain tops. So have you ever seen a waterfall? Now during the summer seasons, it is very hot. Alright, and as soon as the summer season is over, you will see that the monsoon starts. And when the monsoon starts, if you go to the mountainous regions, you will be able to see water jumping from the side of the mountains in the form of small rivers. These are called as waterfalls. And many of us, we go for picnics also, isn't it, near these waterfalls? So there were many waterfalls in this area. Near the fertile valley area, there were many waterfalls which used to leap down from the mountain tops. But remember, none of these waterfalls could reach into the valley. Okay, these waterfalls did not or never entered the valley. Where did they go then? They all ran down the other side of the mountain. But one of the waterfalls was very high and it shone like gold in the beams of the evening sun, and that is why people called it as the Golden River. Now remember, river has got water in it, and water is of course never golden in color. But when this waterfall used to fall and the sun rays used to fall on the water, then it used to shine like gold. So can you see here the sun rays falling on the water, on the stream of water falling from the mountain, and the water looks like it is the color of gold. Okay, it used to shine like gold. That is why it was called as the Golden River. Now there were many streams, or there were many waterfalls like this, but none of them would enter the valley. They were all on the other side of the mountain, like I told you. But the winds used to constantly bring clouds to the valley. So even though the water was on the other side, there were a lot of clouds which used to bring rain and which used to bring water into the valley. Now remember, a place is fertile only if there is water there. Alright? A desert can never be fertile. Why? Because there is no water. So when you say something is fertile, it means you can grow crops there, you can grow trees there. So this place, this valley was fertile. Why? Because the clouds were brought into the valley because of the winds. There were nice winds flowing, and these winds used to bring clouds into the valley. And you all know, children, that when there are clouds, there are rains, and therefore these clouds brought a lot of rain into the valley. So when the rest of the country was dry, it always rained in the valley. Alright? And because of this constant rain in the valley, there were a lot of crops here. So you had apples, you had grapes, you had honey, and there were so many other things or other crops growing abundantly in huge quantities in this valley. That is why people called this as the Treasure Valley. Treasure means khazana. So all this is like khazana only, isn't it? When there is lot of fruit, when there is lot of vegetables, when there are a lot of crops for people to eat, that means it is like a treasure. So that is why people used to call this valley as the Treasure Valley. Now you will see that there were 3 brothers to whom this Treasure Valley belonged to. Alright, this Treasure Valley was the property of 3 brothers. Now 2 of them were elder, and the third one was very young. So the elder brothers were called as Schwartz and Hans. So you can see Schwartz and Hans there. And the third one, the small one, the youngest of all the brothers, was called as Gluck. Now let us try and understand a little bit about these 3 brothers. So the elder brothers, that is Schwartz and Hans, they were big, they were ugly, and they were wicked too. Wicked means they were very selfish, they were very cruel. They were very good farmers, but they killed everything that was not profitable for them. Whereas the younger one, youngest one, that is Gluck, he was only 12 years old, and he was just the opposite of his brothers. He was kind to every living thing, though his own brothers were very cruel to him, and they made him do all kinds of work at home. So this was about the owners of the valley, the 3 brothers, Schwartz, Hans and Gluck. Okay. Now these 2 brothers, they were extremely cruel, I told you, and they were very selfish also. And these people, they killed everything which was not profitable for them. That is, if they could not make money out of something, they would kill it. For example, they would kill these blackbirds, they would kill the hedgehogs, they would kill the crickets. That is, these small animals, these small birds which they felt were of no use to them, they used to mercilessly kill all of them. But remember, anything which is there in nature, whether it is birds, whether it is bees, whether it is ants, okay, all these are there because they are of some use to us, or because God thought that they will be of some use to the world. So killing any animal, killing any being, any living thing, however small it is cruelty. So you should never do it. But these brothers, they would do it. They would kill these animals, they would kill these birds, and also they treated their servants very badly. The people who used to work with them, they used to treat them very badly, and they used to give them very poor wages. That is, they never used to give them money on time. They never used to give them good amount of money. All right, and that is why the people around used to call them the Black Brothers. So people used to call these people, these two brothers, as the Black Brothers. Now black is a sign of something which is sad, or something which is evil, or something which is not good. So these two elder brothers, they were called as the Black Brothers, Schwartz and Hans. Okay, now these Black Brothers, they used to treat the youngest one also very badly. I told you, the youngest of the three brothers, what was his name? His name was Gluck. He was made to do all the work at home. They would make him cook dinner for them. All right, they would make him do all the housework, the cleaning, the cooking and everything. And this child, he was only 12 years old. But in spite of that, these two selfish, cruel Black brothers, they would make this poor fellow do a lot of work at home. And also, whenever they would go out somewhere, they would always tell him not to let anybody in and not to give anything to anyone. So one evening, the two brothers had gone out, and as usual, they warned Gluck to let nobody in, give nothing out. They said, so we are going. So what is your job? You have to make dinner ready for us. You have to get dinner ready for us, and you have to just wait for us to come back. And till the time we come back, you clean the house and do all the other work. But you will not let anyone into the house. Remember, if someone comes into the house and you give something to anyone, we will beat you very badly. So Gluck was always scared. He was always afraid of Schwartz and Hans. Now after the two brothers went out, there was a big storm. So it started raining very badly outside, and the weather became very cold. Just then, Gluck heard a knock on the door. So someone was knocking on Gluck's door. Gluck went out and he put his head out of the window to see who it was. Whom did Gluck see standing outside his door? Gluck saw a very extraordinary looking gentleman standing outside. Extraordinary means very different looking person. Can you see how that person looks? He's had a stick in his hand, and he's got a long flowing beard. Alright, and he looks very poor, and he looks very sick, very old. So Gluck remembered that his brothers had asked him not to let anyone inside. But when Gluck saw this person had a very strange look. Alright, so strange look means what? The strange visitor, he was very short. That is, his height was very less. He had a large nose with red cheeks. He had a curly moustache, and he had a merry twinkling eyes. So you can see this old man standing there. Okay, and he had worn a conical cap. He had worn a cone-shaped cap which was high as himself. That is, the cap that he had worn was as tall as he himself was. And he had worn a cloak also. Now a cloak is a type of a coat, okay, which protects you from the cold. This person was standing there, and he was requesting to Gluck. He was saying, I am wet. Let me in, said the stranger. Now Gluck got very scared. He said, I beg your pardon, sir. I am very sorry, but I really can't. My brothers would beat me to death if I did any such thing. He said, if my brothers come to know that you have come into the house, my brothers will beat me till I die. But then I told you, Gluck was just the opposite of his brothers. He was a very kind boy. But Gluck saw it was raining very hard outside and it was very cold. So somehow he thought that I should just let him in for a few minutes so that he becomes warm, and before my brothers come, I will tell him to go away. Alright, and thus he invited the stranger into his house. So Gluck opened the door and he let the stranger into his house. Gluck, what did he think? He planned that as soon as the stranger would get warm for some time, he will ask him to leave. He will say, "You please go, my brothers will come now, and then they will scold you and they will beat me. So you please go." So he lit a fire for the stranger and he asked the stranger to get warm. But now the stranger started saying that he had not eaten in a very long time. And the stranger said that he is very hungry. Now again Gluck's heart melted and he decided to give a part of his dinner to this stranger. So he was cooking dinner. His brothers had asked him to cook dinner, remember? See, here he is cooking dinner on the fire. He's roasting a big hen or a chicken or something on the fire. So he said, "What will I do? I will give my share of the dinner to this old man." And thus he removed a part of the chicken and he put it on a plate and he gave it to the stranger. Now before the stranger could finish eating it, the wicked brothers, they returned. So the stranger was just eating it and the wicked brothers came back and they were very shocked to see someone else sitting in their house. And they got so angry that they began to shout at Gluck. Now Schwartz, he threw a rolling pin at Gluck. So see, he got very angry and he picked up a rolling pin. Now what is a rolling pin? A rolling pin is called as a latna in Marathi. Your mummy makes chapati, roti using this rolling pin. So Schwartz got so angry that he picked up a rolling pin and he threw it at Gluck. And he said, "How dare you let someone into the house? We told you that we are going and no one should enter the house when we are not there. How dare you call this person here? And how dare you share dinner with him?" Now the brothers, they asked the visitor now. They said, "You get out of this house. Don't ever come back into this house." Now the little man, the small man, the stranger, he humbly told them that it is very cold outside. It is wet outside. But the evil brothers would not listen to him at all. They started running at him with the rolling pin. They wanted to hit the stranger also now with the rolling pin. That is when the stranger got very angry. And what did he do? He picked up his cloak and his cap. And what did he say? He said, "At 12 o'clock tonight, I'll call again." That is, I will come again, he said, at 12 o'clock in the night today. "But since you have treated me so badly, it will be the last visit I pay you." He said, "I will never come back to you again. I will come back to you just once at 12 o'clock tonight." He said that, and like a whirlwind, like a tufan, he went away from there. Now the brothers started wondering, "Kare, what happened? Why did he go away like this, like a whirlwind?" So it is something abnormal, isn't it? So they started thinking about it, but then they forgot it also. Now that night, a big storm woke up the brothers. Okay, the brothers were sleeping and there was this big storm which broke the brothers up. And what did they see? When they looked out of the window, they saw the old man in the clouds. Alright? They saw his head bobbing up and down in the clouds. So they understood that the old man was not an ordinary person, but he was someone very different. And what did he say? He said, "You may go to your brother's room. I have not damaged it. Remember, this is my last visit. You will find my card on the table." He said this, but what had happened till then? The storm was so strong that the roof of their house got blown away. So the storm, it shook the house and it blew away the roof of the house itself. Okay, now these two brothers, they got very worried, and in the morning when they got up and they looked outside the window, what did they see? They saw that the storm had swept away all the trees and all the crops from Treasure Valley. Everywhere that they could see, there was only destruction in Treasure Valley now. Treasure Valley was totally destroyed. There was only mud and sand everywhere. And the valley was a picture of a ruin, that is, everything had become barbad, like they say. Then slowly the brothers, now the person had said, the old man had said that you will find my card on the table in the kitchen. So slowly they went to the kitchen, and on the kitchen table they saw this card. What was written on the card? It was written Southwest Wind Esquire. Means what? The southwest wind. So it was the wind who had come to visit them that day. And in the beginning of the story, we saw, children, that it was the wind which used to bring rain to the valley. So imagine, if there is no wind, if the wind never comes there will be no rain. If there will be no rain, there will be no crops. Why? Because the river was not directly flowing into the valley. It was the wind which was bringing the cloud into the valley, and the clouds were in turn bringing the rain into the valley. And see, these two foolish brothers, these two wicked brothers, they did not realize that all the treasure that they had was because of the wind, and they treated the wind badly. That is why the wind said that I will never ever come here again. So imagine what will happen. If the wind doesn't come, the clouds won't come. If the clouds won't come, the rain will never come. And if it doesn't rain ever, then the valley, which was fertile, which was called as a treasure, will become a complete desert. Okay? And now in the second part of the story, we will see how the foolish, wicked, cruel brothers, how they were punished. So this was the first part of the story, that is the King of the Golden River. Now when we do the second part, you will understand how the story will end, and you will realize how it is very good to always be kind. Okay? Now let us look at a few meanings. There are a number of meanings in the textbook. I'll just show you a few, and then I'll leave you to look at the internet or to go to Google and check up the meaning of the others. So let us look at a few meanings now. So the first one is fertile. I told you fertile means what? Fertile means fruitful. That is a place which will give you a lot of fruit, a lot of vegetable, a lot of crop. Fertile land is land which is very, very good for crops. Land which has got very good soil. See, fertile land looks like this, green and lush. Alright, then we have one more word, cloak. So what is a cloak? A cloak is a type of dress. And when do you wear a cloak? People usually wear a cloak when it is cold. So see this boy, he's worn a green colored cloak. Alright, so these are some meanings. Now I will leave you to look up the other meanings in the textbook. You can look up on Google, so you will be able to see the pictures also of the words. So this was the story of the King of the Golden River. Like I told you, it was part 1 of the story. Now when we do the second part of the story, we will see how the story will end. Alright, so that is all for now, children. So children, wasn't that a very interesting lesson? I'm sure you learnt a lot of new things in this lesson. If you have liked this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my video so that you will get to see all the videos which I keep posting regularly.